Welcome back to Kamikaze Overdrive NFL for my Week 3 predictions. Quickly looking back at Week 2, I went 7-8-1. Not a great start. A start I feel like I hope to improve upon. That one, obviously, the Washington-Houston push. I'm going to take that as a positive, seeing as that I did call that game to be a push. I took Washington with the points. They nearly pulled it out in overtime, but still nonetheless a push, not a win. Moving on, live betting / halftime bets. Maybe you haven't heard of this. Maybe you have. A tough start and an overall rough weekend with my picks. Actually, I still won $500. I put $20 down on some halftime bets with sportsinteraction.com. What they'll do at halftime, they'll pop up spreads for the second half of the game. And I loved it because you can look at the first half. For instance, Tennessee-Pittsburgh. You looked at Pittsburgh was controlling the game. Tennessee was turning the ball over and struggling. Pittsburgh was still an underdog at plus 4.5, I believe. So I jumped over Pittsburgh at 5 games, $20, $500 payout. So definitely, if you don't have an opportunity to sign up at sportsinteraction.com, jump on that. You can win a lot of money by watching the first half and betting on the second half. I've always thought it'd be great to know how the game's going to play out. Well, if you know how half the game's played out, it makes it easier to bet on the second half. Not always, but a lot of the time it does. And finally, sportsinteraction.com /Kamikaze Overdrive NFL. Sign up now. You get your 100% deposit bonus and up to $125. So whatever you put in on your deposit, Sports Interaction will match that. So if you put in $50, it'll be $100 when you actually go in and do your betting. So again, I recommend that. Click on the link below and go at it. Moving on to another little feature I'm going to look at called Lessons Learned. First and foremost, if it looks too easy, it is. Pittsburgh, Tennessee, New England, New York Jets, Cincinnati, Baltimore. All those games look just a little bit too simple. I got all of them wrong. Unfortunately, I'll admit it. Made some mistakes there. I thought Tennessee would hammer Pittsburgh. They didn't. Thought New England would hammer the Jets. They didn't. Thought Baltimore would just be too much for a flat Cincinnati team. Again, not the case. So if it looks too easy, it probably is. Don't count out home dogs. Detroit, the Jets, the Bengals, and the 49ers all made tough games out of it, even though they were at home and they were the underdog. The Jets and Cincinnati ended up winning. San Francisco nearly beat New Orleans. Detroit nearly beat Philadelphia. So don't count out those home dogs. Take points at home. Divisional games, TTC, too tough to call sometimes. Tampa Bay, Carolina, tough game. I didn't think Tampa Bay was going to steamroll Carolina like they did, but that's what happened. Divisional games are tough. Cincinnati, Baltimore, New England, New York Jets, again, the underdogs came out winning those ones. Don't pick a team just because. Look at a team, okay, it's the New England Patriots. They're going to win. Why? Just because it's the New England Patriots. Not going to work if you're going to be a long-time successful gambler with the NFL. And finally, the house always wins. By the house, I mean online sports books, any other people that you can place bets with. They're still here because they're winning money and they're winning the majority of the bets. So if you look at a bet and a lot of people are hammering, for instance, New England over the New York Jets, maybe jump on the Jets because in the end, the house is going to pick it up. And those odds are, the spread and such is set up that the house is going to win in the end. So you want to be on the side of the winning side, and that's the house, so stay away from the popular bet if you can. All right, now moving to the actual predictions of Week 3. First, starting off with defending Super Bowl champions New Orleans Saints, hosting division rival the Atlanta Falcons. New Orleans is a 4.5-point favorite. It's a quick turnaround from a tough game against San Francisco. They've lost Reggie Bush. There's a lot of things going against New Orleans here. Atlanta coming off a huge win over Arizona. Divisional matchup. Like I said before, watch these games. I'm going to take the points with the road dog in this one. I think it could be a field goal game. Maybe Atlanta wins it outright, trying to establish themselves in the division. 4.5 points. I thought the spread would be closer to 3.5, 3. It could be by the time the actual game starts, but jump on Atlanta here at 4.5, so I'm going to take the Falcons to keep it close. Moving next to the New England Patriots at home against the Buffalo Bills. New England's a 14.5-point favorite. Again, divisional matchup. I don't think it has a big effect here. Buffalo went into Green Bay and got absolutely smoked. I think the same thing's going to happen here, seeing as the Patriots against the New York Jets forgot to come out and play. They will not make a mistake this time around, especially against Buffalo. Buffalo won't be able to score to keep up with them. New England's going to be a little short in the running game, but expect Wes Welker, Randy Moss, and obviously Tom Brady to have a big week this week. And I think they cover the 14.5 well. I'm seeing them in the 40-point range, where if Buffalo gets 10, I'll be impressed. Moving now to Carolina, the Panthers hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. Carolina starting a rookie quarterback this week against Carson Palmer and a team that's improving. Cincinnati's defense looked okay, looked not bad against Baltimore last week, definitely shut them down. Carolina got hammered by Tampa Bay. I don't like this matchup for Carolina at home with a rookie QB making his first start. I'm going to take the veteran in this one. I think Cincinnati can win this game. by a touchdown, definitely with the receivers going. I think that's going to start falling into place week 3. They'll start showing up and prove they are a bit of a contender in the division. So I'm going to take Cincinnati at 3.5 as the favorite. Moving now to Baltimore. Baltimore's at home taking on Cleveland. A divisional matchup. Baltimore's not shown anything in the first 2 games this year that they should be a 10.5 point favorite. Cleveland has played okay. I think as a divisional game, they will come to play in this one. They will keep it tighter than most expect. If Baltimore puts points on the board, then it'll be the first time they've come out and had a big offensive performance. But until then, I'm going to take Cleveland, a 10.5 point favorite divisional matchup. They will keep this game tighter than most expect. Now in Houston, 2-0 Houston against 0-2 Dallas. Dallas is struggling. Dallas is on the verge of imploding. Houston, on the other hand, is looking to go 3-0 and continue to control that division. I think they will. Their defense put a lot of pressure on Peyton Manning in week 1. They'll do the same thing as Tony Romo. Dallas made mistakes against Chicago. I think they'll make mistakes here, and I think you're going to see Dallas fall 0-3 and pretty much off the map in that division. Well, Houston will go to 3-0 and start to establish themselves as a divisional contender. So I'll take Houston at -3. Moving now to Minnesota. Minnesota divisional matchup against the Detroit Lions, 10.5 point favorite. Again, a big spread, divisional matchup. Questions of why I'm going with Minnesota. Minnesota's 0-2. This is a must-win game. Unlike Dallas, they are at home in their game. I think they're a better team than they've shown in their first 2 matchups against New Orleans, defending Super Bowl champions, then against Miami, who's better than most people expect. Detroit, bad team. They played well against Philadelphia. That was at home. Now they're going on the road. It's their second, going on the road here. I think they're going to struggle. I think Brett Favre shows up. I think Minnesota defense shows up. Minnesota's had success against Detroit in their last handful of matchups, so I think the 10.5 points is not unacceptable to expect Minnesota to cover. Even though they've been terrible and Favre's been throwing interceptions, I think they'll show up. I think Adrian Peterson will be a big part of the game this week, and Minnesota covers the 10.5 point spread. Now Pittsburgh heading into Tampa Bay for the next game. Pittsburgh is a 2.5 point favorite on the road. Tampa Bay's 2-0. Pittsburgh's 2-0. I don't think Tampa Bay is nearly as good as the 2-0 record would show. Pittsburgh's defense, despite using a third-string quarterback either Charlie Batch or Byron Leftwich, I think Pittsburgh's defense will be a big-time impact in this game. I think they cover the 2.5 easily. Tampa Bay looked good against Carolina. Carolina's not that great last week. Where Pittsburgh went into Tennessee, shut down one of the most dynamic running backs in the league, made the quarterback switch, forced Tennessee to make a quarterback switch for 7 turnovers. When you make that many turnovers with Tennessee's not going to win the game. Pittsburgh will end up winning. I think you'll see Tampa Bay make turnovers as well, and Pittsburgh comes out on top. I'll take them as a 2.5 point road favorite. San Francisco, Kansas City. Kansas City's at home, 2.5 point underdog. Home dog. Here's one right here. KC is better. It's better than most people expect. Where you look at San Francisco, they nearly beat New Orleans, but you go back to week 1, they were in Seattle, absolutely obliterated by Seattle, and I think the same thing will happen here. Maybe not as big as a blowout, but Kansas City is a tough place to play. San Francisco is coming to this game on a short turnaround, and I really see Kansas City picking up the win. I'll take the points. I think they win it outright, and Kansas City, I think, is the play in this one. Now moving to possibly the toughest pick of the week, the New York Giants at home against the Tennessee Titans. The reason I say toughest is Tennessee has had a history of the last couple of years of making quarterback switches and having success with it. We'll see what quarterback comes out for this matchup, whether it be Vince Young or whether it be Kerry Collins. I don't know if it's been announced yet. I haven't checked that out. But certainly, I think the Giants will rebound from getting absolutely smoked by Indianapolis in the Sunday Nighter. I think the Giants will come out on top. They're at home. Tennessee made a ton of turnovers last week. I don't think they're going to make 7 turnovers again, but I think they could be in the neighborhood of 3 or 4, and you're not going to win ball games doing that. So look for the Giants to cover the spread. It might end up being a push. I could see it be a field goal finish, but I'm going to take the Giants at home in this matchup. Jacksonville and Philadelphia. Whenever it comes time to predict Jacksonville, I always cringe. But Philadelphia now, back-to-back road games. They win in Detroit and barely beat Detroit. Now they're heading to Jacksonville. Jacksonville's a better team than the Lions. I think they'll rebound from the shellac they took against San Diego, a game that they started to play okay at the beginning, and eventually San Diego just pulled away. I don't know if Philadelphia has that capability, especially on the road. I think Jacksonville will be very physical with them. Maurice Jones-Drew will have a big game, and I see Jacksonville as a 3-point underdog at home. Home dog, they show up this week. Come on, Jacksonville, show up. So I'll take Jacksonville at +3. Now moving to a game that originally I was on Washington, 3.5 point favorite on the road. They're coming off a tough loss against Houston, a game they nearly won and then ended up losing, and now it's, with rough effort, rough overtime loss. Now they're heading to St. Louis. St. Louis, definitely not a team to get up for if you're Washington. Where St. Louis, this is second home game, third game. I think things will start to come together for Sam Bradford. And I think this is one of those picks that you want to be on the side of the books. Most people will be on Washington, so I'm going to take St. Louis at plus 3.5. I think Steven Jackson shows up, has a big game. Washington, if St. Louis doesn't win this game outright, I think they keep it within a field goal, and I'll take the 3.5 points in that case. Denver, Indianapolis on the road, a 6-point favorite. They seem to have Denver's number. They always show up. They always seem to beat Denver. Indy has more weapons. They proved it Sunday night when they took on the Giants. I think they go to Denver. They look to go to 2-1. They got to keep pace with Houston, because if they fall to 1-2 and Houston goes to 3-0 and already a loss to Houston, it's a big climb for the Colts. So I really think Indianapolis comes out and spanks Denver this week. So I'm going to take the Colts here with Peyton Manning, and he will get the job done in my opinion. Arizona at Oakland. Originally I was on Oakland. Oakland's on the road. They were on the road against Tennessee, got smoked. Arizona coming off a tough loss against Atlanta. They have to win this game. If you're going to be a contender in the division and get things back moving, you have to beat Oakland at home. So a 4-point favorite. Arizona needs to show up this week. I think they do. They'll exploit an Oakland team who barely beat St. Louis when Oakland was at home. So I think the trip to Arizona will be a tough one for the Raiders, and I'm going to take the Cardinals at -4. Next game, this one could be a tough one. Seattle plus 5.5 hosting San Diego. I go back to week 1. San Diego went into Kansas City. It was a divisional matchup, but they struggled in Kansas City. Now they're making the trip to Seattle. Seattle's another tough building to play in. They had a big win over San Francisco in week 1. I don't know if they can win this game, but I think they can keep it tight within 5.5 points. So I'm going to take Seattle plus 5.5 to keep it tight with San Diego. Maybe shock some people and win the game. Again, San Diego will probably be a public favorite, so they'll probably be on San Diego. So I'm going to take Seattle and go with the books on this one and hope it works out. Moving down to Miami, divisional matchup, Miami and the New York Jets. Miami, 1.5 point favorite. A lot of people might look at this and say, the Jets just beat up on and defeated New England. Why are they not the favorite here? I see Miami being a better team and kind of flying under the radar. I think they're going to win this game. It's a divisional matchup. It'll be very tight. 1.5 points is probably where it should be. Again, I'm going to stick with the books on this one and stick go with Miami, as most people will probably be on the Jets thinking they just beat New England. They're probably going to roll in this one too. Miami went into Minnesota, played a great game, won that game. I think they might do the same thing here against New York. We'll have to see how it turns out. And finally, now moving to the Monday Nighter, again, divisional matchup again. The Bears are at home. They're a home dog by 3 points against Green Bay. 2-0 versus 2-0 division control up for grabs in this one. I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay offense to outduel Chicago. Chicago took advantage of a Dallas team that's really struggling, and I think Green Bay will be able to exploit Chicago here. It might be a push in this one, but I see Green Bay coming up with at least a touchdown victory, maybe a 10-point win in this one. So I'm going to go with the better quarterback, the better offense. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers over the Chicago Bears by 3 points. So again, Week 3 NFL predictions for Kamikaze Overdrive, live betting, halftime bets. You can jump on that, guys, to get the opportunity. Like I've always thought, wouldn't it be great if you watch the game and then bet on it? Well, here's an opportunity to watch half the game and bet on it. Watch for stuff like turnovers, teams not being able to make first downs, not being able to come up with big completions. Things like that are indications that maybe the other team is the better pick. And a lot of times, the team that was the favorite at the beginning of the game might still be the favorite at half, even if they're not playing well. Like, for instance, last week at Pittsburgh, Tennessee. Tennessee was still the favorite at halftime, and all indications were they weren't coming back in the second half. I jumped on Pittsburgh. It turned out well. SportsInteraction.com, again, sportsinteraction.com/Kamikaze Overdrive NFL. Click on the link below. Get your deposit bonus. Make some money this weekend. It's definitely there to be made. Please comment on my videos. I like when I see comments, even if you tell me, you're an idiot or you don't know what you're talking about. At least I know you're watching. If you want to say, I like this pick, but I don't like this pick, anything is great, related to my videos. So I appreciate it if you comment. I got a lot of views, and that's great, but I'd like to see some more comments from you guys. And check out my UFC 119 picks. You can check them on my channel. I do picks for that too, so please check that out. And you can bet on those as well. And that wraps up Week 3, so I'll see you back here for Week 4. Kamikaze Overdrive NFL predictions. Roll credits.